And really, we've been covering this story over the past several weeks, as we now know that a hearing has been delayed until next week for the man accused of assassinating Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. I do want to bring in Paul Bloom at Fox 9 Minneapolis to talk more about all of this. Paul, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. I know that this was actually supposed to be a hearing on several topics there, talking about the possibility of bond and all of that, right?
Yeah, this was scheduled, Josh, at 11 a.m. local time, Central Time, here at the Federal Courthouse, U.S. District Court in downtown St. Paul. It was a preliminary hearing, making sure there's enough evidence to sort of move this case along towards trial, if that's where this ends up, as well as a detention hearing to set bond, any conditions, realistically, based on the crimes. Likely he is to whatever a judge would ultimately decide to remain behind bars while the case plays out. But it was interesting. Hearing was set to begin at 11 a.m. Vance Boelter, this accused political assassin, accused of horrific crimes here in the Twin Cities area a couple weeks ago. He showed up. I immediately noticed his outfit. He was in a full body, what I would call a suicide protection suit. It was also referred to as a Gumby suit, fully padded. No undergarments, Velcroed at the shoulders, again, typically to protect someone from harming themselves. And what was interesting is as soon as the hearing began, his defense attorney turned and pointed to that suit and sort of described this as one example of how he is being treated inhumanely. He is being housed under U.S. Marshal supervision at a suburban jail north of the Twin Cities here in Minnesota. And they have said he's basically just been given a mat and no pillow to sleep on. He must wear that suicide protection suit at all times. No undergarments. They leave the lights on 24/7. They spoke about doors slamming all the time, cells slamming. He's got headaches. He can't sleep. An inmate next to him is spreading feces all around the cell, and the smell is overcoming him. And basically, she said he is in no state to move forward with such important matters in the legal proceedings. The government spoke briefly. They said they have shared the same concerns about how he's being treated at this jail. They're working with the U.S. Marshals. They're working with the county jail there to get the situation remedied. But for now, the magistrate judge basically agreed with the defense and said, yeah, given his current status, let's delay this 1 week, maybe get him in a better frame, improve his conditions, let him get some sleep, some rest, so he can talk with his attorneys and then address these legal matters. But really stunning developments for what we were expecting were going to be very much legal proceedings, but it turned into this sort of statement on the conditions he is facing in the Sherburne County Jail up in Elk River, Minnesota.
And Paul, any indication from the judge, anything of that nature, legal experts, that there is even a chance that he could be granted bond and released until the trial?
I mean, the universal feeling up here is no. I mean, these crimes are unprecedented. We certainly cover enough federal criminal court cases in this jurisdiction to recognize people are held in custody pending proceedings for far lesser crimes. So experts, the judge it wasn't even an issue, so we couldn't even read tea leaves with this judge. He didn't even make any comments. But it is a detention hearing. All defendants are entitled to one, but the sentiment is up here that realistically any federal judge at the U.S. Attorney's Office, the DOJ, will specifically ask for him to be held pending trial or the continuation of this case, and the expectation would certainly be this judge would sign off on that.
And my last question here before I let you go, because I know there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
We obviously know that Melissa Hortman is lying in state alongside her husband right now, but a lot of folks aren't necessarily following every detail of the situation that happened earlier on this month at their home. Can you explain kind of the latest information that we do have? I know there is a lot, but there's still an active investigation going on.
Yeah, no, the dots still have to be connected. This potentially has is a capital punishment type case. The DOJ, Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney's Office here in the District of Minnesota will have to make a decision ultimately whether or not that if convicted, that sort of all of the totality of what happened that overnight, early Saturday morning, did in fact happen, and that Vance Boelter, if this is the direction they want to go, want to seek a death penalty in this case. So this is serious. They're connecting the dots here. The search warrants, all the search warrants have become public in the last few days to sort of shed more light on what was going on during the search for Vance Boelter. I do, before I get deeply into that, just want to point out to our viewers here, because you mentioned it, it is a very delicate day. I am in downtown St. Paul, and about a half mile up the road here, if you walk directly to my right here, is the state capitol, and that is where the Hortmans are lying in state. So about a 5-10 minute walk up the road. So you think about the sort of dueling locations today, just how delicate feeling it is around here in downtown St. Paul. But to the case, yes, this was, again, it's Vance Boelter accused of dressing up like a police, law enforcement. On the morning of the shootings, he went to one senator's house where he shot. He's accused of shooting multiple times a senator and his wife. He looked... It's understood now that he visited 2 other lawmakers. One wasn't home. One, he had an encounter with law enforcement and drove off. And then finally, the 4th house, the Hortmans. He goes up. He identifies himself as police. And then there's gunfire at the front door just as police are arriving. And it's believed that Vance Boelter, assassinated Melissa Hortman, her husband, killed the family dog on his way through the house, which led to this massive manhunt that took law enforcement, the largest manhunt in Minnesota history. Took him some 42 hours to track him down, about an hour away near his home in a rural county south of the Twin Cities. So a horrific crime. Melissa Hortman, a one-time Democratic state Speaker of the House, killed. Her husband killed. They are being remembered today. Their funerals are tomorrow.
Paul Bloom there over at Fox 9 Minneapolis. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here. Obviously a very, as you mentioned, delicate day here as all of this is going on. So thank you again.
You bet, Josh. Thanks for having me.